Welcome back to TC Talks. I'm your host, TC, and today we're going to be talking about the Chicago Bears coming away with a big fourth quarter comeback against the Minnesota Vikings to improve to 7-3 on the year, and more importantly, become first place in the NFC North. We're going to talk about all that, the implications, and what the Bears got to do if they want to maintain their spot on top of the North. But before we get into that, I want to encourage you follow, subscribe, share, all the good stuff in order to stay up to date on my content. Let's go ahead and dive into the Chicago Bears and their big win against the Minnesota Vikings this past Sunday. So the Chicago Bears, the narrative all year has been Caleb Williams and his fourth quarter comebacks, absolutely working some magic in the fourth quarter. 5 now game-winning drives in the fourth quarter in order to put the Bears hot up top on the NFC North at 7-3, and that's a remarkable feat. But there are some highs, some lows that go along with this, both offensively and defensively, and we need to talk about those things for the Chicago Bears to be able to excel going forward. Now, in that Minnesota Vikings game, Caleb Williams in the offense, it was very similar to the first game. They came out really hot in the beginning. They were scoring a bunch of points. They were moving the ball. Then all of a sudden, the second and third quarter hits, and the offense starts to stall out. And then finally, the offense does something again late in the fourth quarter. This time, however, the Chicago Bears able to sneak away with the victory after 9 was able to sneak away a touchdown pass in the fourth quarter to get with the go-ahead touchdown. But for the Chicago Bears, Caleb Williams, aided by a great kick return, able to set up Cairo Santos for the go-ahead field goal, and that's exactly what you want. You're not going to walk away from every game stomping out your opponent. You're not going to be able to just run out the clock. Some games you are going to be a little bit more hard-pressed to pick up those victories. However, for the Chicago Bears, that's been too much of a recurring problem for this team. The Chicago Bears, 5 total fourth quarter comebacks. While that looks good, while that's good television, while it's a fun stat for Caleb Williams, it is Caleb Williams and that Chicago Bears offense that are really putting themselves in the position to get to that point. And sustaining these drives, these situations where the Chicago Bears are able to create a turnover or be able to come away with this fourth quarter magic in order to come away with a victory in any of these games, that's not something that's going to be sustainable forever. The Chicago Bears defense is going to have those off games. The Chicago Bears offense is going to be outscored too much for a fourth quarter comeback. That's why Caleb Williams and this offense needs to find out what the heck is going on in the second and third quarter. The Chicago Bears, they come out lightning hot. We've seen them score. They were going toe-to-toe with the Detroit Lions in the first quarter. Then all of a sudden the team fell apart and they were basically done for in that contest. And it almost was the same thing in this contest against the Minnesota Vikings. They came out hot. They were doing a whole bunch, moving the ball, and then all of a sudden the offense stops, and not for the defense coming away with some major takeaways in this contest. The Chicago Bears might be looking at yet another loss to the Minnesota Vikings, a team that they should beat, and I'm glad they did beat, but the Chicago Bears offense needs to figure things out, and that starts with Caleb Williams. He is the most back-and-forth quarterback I've seen this season. Now, obviously, some of the struggles offensively have been due to offensive players, mostly the wide receivers, dropping passes, especially last week where the Chicago Bears really had to work some magic against the Giants, I believe, to be able to come away with a victory in that contest. However, what the Bears need to focus on is Caleb Williams and unlocking him. He seems to be playing almost at 50% in these contests, and what I mean by that is the first quarter is pretty good, the fourth quarter is pretty good, but the second and third quarter, he's basically non-existent. That's when he almost seems to get a little too confident in himself. We saw this with the DJ Moore pass, even though that was late in the first quarter, where he overthrows DJ, then he overthrows Rome Odunze, and he seems to be going for the home runs, the knife in the nail in the coffin way too soon, and that's all well and good. Caleb Williams is good enough to come away and put a game out early. He really could end a game by halftime, but he has to have that composure in order to get to that situation, because right now the Chicago Bears just aren't playing that kind of football, and that starts with Caleb Williams and his lack of consistency. But at the same time, Caleb Williams has been absolutely ridiculous, putting the Chicago Bears in a position where they're able to win and have won multiple games this season, and that's just something that the Chicago Bears are not used to. But these fourth quarter heroics, these ridiculous turnovers that the Chicago Bears have been able to generate this season, that's not something that you're going to replicate week to week like we saw multiple interceptions this week. Who's to say Aaron Rodgers is going to throw multiple interceptions this upcoming week? Who's to say that the Chicago Bears are going to be in a position to win in the fourth quarter against the Pittsburgh Steelers? We don't know that. That's not a given. What is a given is if you have a solid offense, a quarterback who's consistent, a team that's able to string along drives and score points quarter to quarter, not just in the beginning and the end of the game, that is going to put you in a very routine situation for potential success and victory in these contests. So that's what the Chicago Bears need to do. The defense, they've been able to generate a lot of turnovers, and that is what's kept Chicago in a lot of these games where all of a sudden the offense has stalled out. But the Chicago Bears going forward, they cannot rely just on these takeaways. They cannot rely on fourth quarter heroics, and Caleb Williams needs to take more than a step in the right direction. And like I said, the Chicago Bears need to find a way to unlock him in the passing game, and if they do that, the Chicago Bears can go a long way and hold on to their spot as the number one team in the NFC North. But that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know what you think about my thoughts down in the comments below, and until next time, see ya.